part 2 of circular sewing using the pin. So on your plate there will be lines etched, so I need to have the tape parallel to the needle because we want the pin, the center of the pin, to be with the parallel with the center of the needle, and that'll give us a circle. So on the machine I've dropped the ruler down to this next line, and I'm going to lay the tape along the ruler, and this will, with the width of the tape, will have the center of the tape lined up with the center of the needle. So I'm just going to place the tape on now. Sorry if it's wobbling the camera, but there we go. Just going to trim the end of this tape off just to make it simpler. There we go. So that's all nicely lined up now. And normally work from the left hand side of your foot, and that gives you the most clearance within the throat space of your machine. Obviously the further out you're sewing, the further away from the throat space you're working, so it just runs smoother and you won't get as stuck as much. So now then, we've got a flathead pin, two sort of, well, they're probably about 3-inch long pieces of electric tape, just in a cross. So what I'm going to do is just peel that tape back a touch so that I can see the head. So I know I need it round about here. So I'm just going to push that out of the way a bit. So it's round about, if I put this at 10.5, this is why it's worth having a marked tape. Whichever your tape is, it doesn't matter. So I've just tried to sit the pin at the centre of the tape. Just stick it down. Now both of these tapes are resealable, and they won't leave any residue on your machine. They're lovely. They'll both peel off really nicely. I just want to check that that's far enough. Right, so that's too near that stitch line, so I need to probably come back don't know, maybe 1/2 inch. Give it plenty of space. So I know that that's where I have been. So I'm going to come back to just this side of the 9. And that should give me, that should take me just past that line. So I'll just check this again. Once you've got that pinhole, it seems to find itself. Right, so that's got plenty of space now. So when I originally did this, I'll start again. I've ironed on F220 interfacing because it is quite a lightweight fabric. But I'd used rather a thin stabiliser at first, and it was just too thin for this fabric. So I've added a Floriani medium tearaway, which is really sturdy. It's lovely. So then you kind of want them all to stay together. So rather than impaling yourself on a pin every time it comes round on a corner, just use your staple and staple it. Not sure if you can see this. So I'm just going to staple. There you go. So that's quite a useful technique for other projects. I know that when I've cut this fabric out, this is all excess, and there's also selvage as well So these are all going to be thrown away. So I'm really not worried. That's absolutely fine. So because as a rule, we know we're going to cut it either into 4 or into half. Once you've found your centre, use one line, 1/4 line to start and finish with. That way you know when you've cut it, it will either be within the seam allowance or it will be trimmed away when you resize. So I'm just going to start sewing. The basic rules apply. Just bring your thread up as you would normally. Just bring it through to the back. There we go. It's probably worth holding. I'm just see if I can do this without. Right, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to put my hand in the way because I can't. I've tried to move out of the way a bit. Right, I'm just going to hold the centre with. Try and keep it stable. And off we go. And this will just chug round. Not very exciting, a bit like watching paint dry, but it's a really useful technique. Whether you've got the, obviously if you've got the attachment, that's fine, but if you haven't, that's also fine. So I'm going to put the video on pause and then just take it to the end. Just going to put it on pause. So we're just coming to the end now. Sometimes it matches spot on, other times it's right. There we go, we're almost there now. That's it. So that up, up the hook, take it to the back. And this is a perfect example of why we choose a spot to start and finish. It's just a tad out. So once you'd cut that into 4 or half, nobody would know where that started or finished, and you wouldn't actually know that it had wavered that couple of mil. So enjoy.